Yeah, I can start out.
Let's go for it.
All right.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special presentation of Hard Hats TV, where today we bring you Game 2 of the second day of the Veterans Classic from Fitzgerald Stadium in Rapid City, South Dakota. My name is Mike Fell, ready to bring you the broadcast between the Laramie Post 14 Rangers, 9 and 13 on the season, and the Pinnacle Bank sponsored Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks on a beautiful afternoon for baseball on the west side of Rapid City. And I now bring in my partner, color commentator, and the voice of Hard Hats TV, Oliver Fell. Oliver, what a great night or afternoon we have for baseball. We'll have a great night when it gets here. And this is just what you want. Picture perfect postcard like weather with teams and fans from many states ready to enjoy America's pastime. And we have a must win game coming up here between the Silverhawks and the Rangers because these two teams each lost games last night and they need to
Can you
bounce back today.
recognize I've got the standings up on
There
the
we
screen
go.
for everybody to see. Those two, Laramie and Lincoln Southwest, both sitting in the bottom two positions right now. Both had, not so great things. If you're wondering what that second number is, first number is their total record. Second number is runs allowed per inning. That is our first tiebreaker after head to head. So that's very important to watch throughout this tournament, and to see, especially in pool play and seeding and whatnot. So there you go. Lincoln, after the Huron win just now against Westco, Huron's out of seventh place, and it goes to Lincoln and Laramie. Last one here will be left in last, and the other one will be right back in the thick of things.
Yeah, in essence, this is very much, uh, a double elimination tournament. I mean, if you have aspirations to be playing here at Fitzgerald Stadium on Sunday for a top half finish or a shot at the championship, you can't afford to pick up two losses here in pool play. This is a very big game, high stakes game. Both of these teams yesterday were defeated in different ways, but neither one of the defeats sat well, I'm sure, with these ball clubs. For the Laramie Post 14 Rangers, it was really a dominant performance put out there by the Mitchell Post 18 team. The Mitchell team was able to roll to an 11 to nothing shutout victory in 5 innings. But for the Silverhawks, it was Heartbreak Hotel. They led 7-2 in the fifth inning, and Kelvin Torvey's post 22 hard hats literally stalked their prey, the Silverhawks, last night, loading the bases in the fifth inning, only getting a run, making it 7-3, loading the bases again in the sixth inning, only getting a run, but making it 7-4, and then in dramatic and exciting fashion in a outstanding bottom of the seventh inning that my partner and the voice of Hard Hats TV, Oliver Fell, had a chance to broadcast. Man alive, a 4-run rally in the bottom, a 5-run rally in the bottom of the seventh inning lifted the Hard Hats to their second dramatic seventh inning rally over a winning top-notch team. They did it 2 weeks ago against Cheyenne Post 6 on that Sunday afternoon game we had for you on Hard Hats TV, and they did it again last night. As Yogi Berra used to say, deja vu all over again. The Hard Hats were able to get the win over the Silverhawks, but there's a sense of urgency now for the Pinnacle Bank Lincoln, Nebraska Silverhawks Ball Club because they don't want to fall to 0-2. For Laramie, that comes from the outstanding home of the University of Wyoming, they certainly have to find a way to bounce back, and they're going to send Aiden Buchanan to the mound to try to reverse their fortunes. And for the Silverhawks, the home, of course, the University of Nebraska, the home of the Nebraska Cornhuskers, they're going to be playing with a tremendous sense of urgency as well. And I think we saw from Lincoln Southwest yesterday they have the
Yeah,
ability to
they can go
compete.
pretty
They could
far.
win this tournament, but they're going to have to dig out of that hole. And it's not easy to turn around and shake off a loss the way in which they suffered that loss last night. But I bet if you talk to uh, the coach for Lincoln Southwest, Mitch Vernon, he would probably prefer a second game of the day just to kind of get back on the
Yeah,
horse and ride again.
I'm totally with you. I mean, that was a really impressive showing. Post 22, I believe, one of, if not the favorite to win it all in this tournament with Cheyenne Post 6. This is an incredible, I mean, and to lead them for that long, they really had Post 22 on the ropes. As long as they've got depth in the pitching rotation, I think that this team could genuinely win the whole thing.
Yeah, this is going to be a very exciting tournament as we make our way through these next 4 days. And, in a lot of ways, to draw a fair comparison, a golf tournament is a 4 day, Thursday through Sunday event. And how a golfer plays on Friday and a golfer plays on Saturday, they call Saturday moving day. But you got to be in position to kind of make the cut in those first 2 days of a golf
Yeah.
tournament. And in many respects, that's what these two teams, Laramie Post 14 and the Pinnacle Bank Lincoln Southwest Ball Club, have to do here. They have to make the cut. If you lose this game coming up, you're 0-2. You have missed the cut, in essence, in this 4 day Veterans Classic.
Yeah, I mean, if you get banished down to the last place spot, whoever loses this game will. It's going to be incredibly hard to win it, let alone finish respectably in the middle. With a lot of these teams in the Fitzgerald pool kind of pooling up around 1-1 right now, it's going to be really tough to be that 0-2 team in the mix.
Yeah, it really is. And let's highlight a game that happened over at the Pete Lean Stadium pool. It looks like First National Bank of Omaha Nationals won. So
No,
North
not
Platte.
today. They
Oh,
they
well, it
won
says they're
yesterday.
2-0. Oh, they're 2
They
and 0
played two
from.
games
Oh,
yesterday.
okay.
They and Mitchell did that. So what happened
Aha.
this morning? Rogue Baseball Club won a game 5-2 over Sturgis.
Okay. So Sturgis is in that bottom position. The Titans are 0 and 2. And thanks for pulling that up. And some really pivotal games today here in pool play. What a format. I love pool play. In fact, Oliver, many fans may or may not know this, but you are a student at Arizona State University in
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix. And it's interesting. Um, in Scottsdale, Arizona last week, the Pacific 12 Pac 12 tournament went to a brand new format where they had three pools of pool play, three teams each, and I think it worked out really well. It
It
was an
had some very
exciting tournament.
interesting results, though. The 6 and the 7 seed played for the title.
Six seed
Um,
and eight seed, I
8
think.
seed, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It was Oregon and
Arizona Wildcats.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
There were some wild results, but and I guess that might come with the fact that there's no buys for high seeds and whatnot. But still,
It was fun though. I mean, it was a different kind of format, but pool play, you see it, of course, in Cup soccer, the biggest world sporting event, international sporting event. Sorry, Olympics, but World Cup is a bigger international sporting event, and there's just something about pool play where everyone gets to play each other. Now, the pools are so big here, not everybody gets to play
no,
each
everybody
other,
gets 4 games,
but you get four
and
games
you
guaranteed.
get
That's great.
three. I believe. I know you get that's there is a little bit of crossover. So, for example, Huron played the Expos in their opener. The Expos being from the Pete Lean pool, Fitzgerald, and then Huron being in Fitzgerald. So there's a little bit of crossover. I don't think you get more than one game of crossover,
Yeah.
and I don't think everybody's guaranteed one. But
Yeah, I
that has
think that's
happened a
the
little.
case because we're talking about two divisions, two pools of seven teams each. So there's no way that you can just cleanly play amongst six teams. You've got an odd number there, so you're going to have some crossover. And what a tremendous Veterans Classic! Of course, you won't find a better facility than Fitzgerald Stadium, and I don't think you can do. Uh, much better than Pete Ween Memorial Field. I mean, this is just a great environment for baseball. And if you're thinking about what you're going to do this weekend, I think your plans should include enjoying the Veterans Classic. And if you're watching this game, you're working at your office, and you're like, boy, do I want to make that trip to Rapid City? I just have two words for you: road trip. Make the trip up here to Rapid City. You will absolutely love enjoying baseball, enjoying the Black Hills, maybe seeing Mount Rushmore. Maybe you're watching in Lincoln. Let me tell you, the drive along Highway 2 through the Nebraska Sandhills is nature's greatest argument. The bald can be beautiful. I mean, I love the Sandhills. So to come on up through the Highway 2, through the towns of Mullen and Hyannis and Alliance, come on up, and you'll be glad you did
Stop by
this weekend.
Carhenge.
Stop. Well, that kind of slows you down. I don't know.
Ah,
But no, Carhenge is there. Yes, it is. And, it's a bucket list item for many folks. But come on up if you're from Lincoln. And if you're in Laramie, hey, make the trip up here. You're going to be really glad you did. And I've spent time in Laramie and in Lincoln. And I love both communities. We're happy to have you along with our Veterans Classic broadcast. My name is Mike Fell, joined by my son Oliver Fell. And the umpires are talking to the skippers of these two teams, Aaron Lesmo for Laramie Post 14 and Mitch Vernon for Pinnacle Bank Lincoln Southwest. We are just minutes away from playing ball here in game 2 of day 2 at the Veterans Classic here in beautiful Rapid City, South Dakota. Temperature is ideal today. Right now, temperature is somewhere in the, I'd say, mid 60s, and we're on our way to a high in the mid 70s today. Tonight, we should be above that cold and crisp level, but not balmy level. We have temperatures in the low 70s and high to mid 60s, and it just doesn't get much better than this. Baseball on a Friday afternoon. Glad you're with us here. Thank you
we're
for
not
making
technically
Hard
past
Hats
noon yet,
TV.
but
Well, but it is for our friends in the central time zone tuning in Lincoln, so it's close
yeah,
enough.
but for the people in Laramie,
Well,
they're
that's
just
true.
as important.
Well, yes, they are, but they're also just 10 minutes away from calling it noon. I always look at it like this, Oliver. After 11 o'clock, I say good afternoon in an email because I figure most people will read that email after
Okay,
about an hour.
that's a good
I
point.
also say good afternoon because they stopped serving breakfast at McDonald's at 10:30, so it kind of doesn't make it the morning anymore for me.
I
So
see.
there you go. All right, Laramie getting in their warm-up pitches. Laramie apparently listed as the home team. They were officially on the roster originally listed as the road team. So Laramie will be ready to go out in the field. Let's go ahead and get to the starting lineups first for the visiting Pinnacle Bank sponsored Silverhawks
I
from
think
Lincoln Southwest High
I
School.
don't know if you have to say Pinnacle Bank every time.
Oh, I like to.
Okay,
They pay good money to put their name on the team, so we'll respect that. So the leadoff hitter for Lincoln Southwest is center fielder Trent Buda. Batting second for Coach Mitch Vernon's Silverhawks at second baseman Carter Chamberlain. Batting third for Lincoln Southwest, it's Tayo Tahashi.
Takahashi.
Takahashi. Thank you, Oliver. Batting fourth and hitting cleanup, designated hitter Bennett Bruns. Batting fifth for Lincoln, it's catcher Caden Ransom. Hitting sixth in the lineup, it's left fielder Carter Beatty. Batting seventh, it's Matthew Humphrey, the first baseman. Hitting ninth and playing right field, it's Jackson Moore. And batting ninth for Coach Vernon, it's third baseman manning the hot corner, Landon Lewis. So that's Buda, Chamberlain, Takahashi, Bruns, Ransom, Beatty, Humphrey, Moore, and Lewis for the 16 and 13 Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. And the first pitch from Aiden Buchanan is outside for ball one. And we are underway here in Rapid City. Get back, get ready, get set to enjoy a thrilling must-win game for these two teams in the Fitzgerald Stadium pool play, as these two teams try to right the ship after losing vastly different ball games last night to Mitchell in the case of Laramie and Post 22 in Rapid City in the case of Lincoln Southwest. Second pitch is chopped foul, and the count now moves to 1-1 strike. Next pitch is low and inside for ball two. Silverhawks, they're able to alternate quite a few left-handed and right-handed bats in the lineup. That's a big advantage, I believe, at this level. Here comes the pitch, and that is high and outside for ball three. Lincoln Southwest, they have dropped 4 of their last 5 games. They would love to get on the winning track today. Ball is fouled down the first base line, and the count now moves full to 3-2 strikes. You're watching the first at bat in this ball game. Trent Buda batting left-handed, going up against Aiden Buchanan, the starter for Laramie, Wyoming. Post 14 Rangers. Here comes the pitch. Ball is driven to center field, and that will go over the head of the center fielder. That will be a double, maybe a triple. He is digging in for third, and Buda
It gets away.
Gets a stand-up triple, a leadoff triple for Lincoln Southwest. And it seemed as though center fielder Mason Branch for Laramie Post 14 either did not pick up the ball off the bat in his direction, or he was simply positioned maybe a little too shallow. Whatever the case may be, that was a good drive to center, and Trent Buda is 90 feet away from being the opening run in this ballgame. Ball is swatted by Carter Chamberlain into right field, and it will drop for a hit. Coming home from third and scoring is Trent Buda, and Lincoln Southwest leads 1-0 as Carter Chamberlain is able to get a bloop single and drive in the first run of the ball game.
I mean, that's about as good of a start as you can get. Both kind of weird defensive plays, just hitting it into the spot that they just weren't around. But I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. Up comes Takahashi.
Takahashi, batting right-handed, waits for the pitch from Buchanan. Pitch is inside for a ball. Taiyo Takahashi trying to get on base for the Pinnacle Bank Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. Takahashi drills the ball to third base, throw to second, in time for one. There will be no throw to first, so the lead runner is retired. Carter Chamberlain thrown out 5-4 if you're keeping score with us this afternoon. Takahashi able to reach on a fielder's choice. The score is 1-0 in favor of Lincoln Southwest. Did you know, Oliver, Lincoln, Nebraska was originally named Lancaster, Nebraska?
I did not.
Ball is hit hard to the power alley in left field, and the ball will go all the way to the warning track and the wall. Turning from third base and scoring, sliding across home plate is Taiyo Takahashi, and Bennett Bruns is able to drive in the second run of the game with a stand-up double. 2 extra base hits off of starter Aiden Buchanan, really setting the tone for the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks, who lead by a pair with only 1 out and 1 on here in the top half of the first inning.
This has got to be pretty demoralizing for that Rangers squad. I mean, after coming off that 10-0 thing, they've still got a hit, but they've really got to settle down here, or it could start to consume them.
Aiden Buchanan trying to regroup. Aiden being hit hard here in the early going. Wind, by the way, blowing in from right field this afternoon with a pretty brisk breeze.
Yeah.
Here comes a pitch from Buchanan, and that is just off the plate for strike two. Buchanan has not been wild. We haven't seen any wild pitches. In fact, the catcher has been able to remain in his traditional position so far, but many of the pitches have been inside or outside the strike zone. There's a strike to Caden Ransom. Caden Ransom trying to drive in Bennett Bruns, who is in scoring position at second base at the moment. The Silverhawks, the visiting team in this pivotal game between two teams that come in 0-1 respectively each in pool play. Silverhawks trying to shake off what was a nightmarish final 3 innings against the post 22 Hard Hats last night for them. And they're off to a good start to right the ship. They've already collected 4 hits.
Going off.
And here comes a throw down to third, and that is not in time. That's a stolen base for Bennett Bruns. So now the Silverhawks with a chance to extend the 3-0 lead. And by the way, the official scorer gave a single to Taiyo Takahashi. I listed that as a fielder's choice, but the official scorer saw otherwise. We'll go with the official scorer, not this unofficial scorer. So the count goes full now as Caden Ransom fouls off a 2-2 offering from Aiden Buchanan. Caden Ransom trying to come through for Lincoln Southwest, one of the newer high schools in the Lincoln area. Ball is going to go off the catcher, and that'll be ball 4. Now there will be runners at the corners for the Pinnacle Bank sponsored ball club. Lincoln Southwest 2, Laramie yet to come to bat. Lincoln really jumping on top of Laramie in a must-win game for both of these teams.
It's crazy to think both these college towns, big ones at that for their state universities.
They have that in
pretty
common.
similar in that respect.
Yet Laramie is so much smaller than Lincoln. Lincoln is at about 250,000 people, and Laramie is at about 250,000 people.
That's pretty good for Wyoming.
It is, actually. It's also, both communities are great. I lived and worked in Lincoln for 2 years and loved it there. Absolutely loved it. Would have stayed, but I got my radio dream job and had to say farewell to Lincoln. Pitch is inside for a ball. Carter Beatty is the hitter. 2 on, 1 out. Throw down to second is offline, and that'll be a stolen base for Caden Ransom. And now there are a pair of Silverhawks in scoring position with only 1 out, and a chance for Carter Beatty to really stake Lincoln Southwest to a strong lead and get some real separation here in the early going. Buchanan looks back to second, throws home, and that pitch is outside. And as Buchanan has had his struggles, he is suddenly losing the accuracy of his pitches to the point that his catcher's starting to have to really work now. Ball is hit to third base, no throw home, throw to first is in time, and that'll bring home a run. So Carter Beatty is retired third to first for the second out of the inning. Caden Ransom advances, and Bennett Bruns scores on that infield single. So give Carter Beatty an RBI ground out right there, and now it's 3-0 in favor of Lincoln Southwest. Here comes Buchanan's pitch. Man is at third. That's Caden Ransom. He already showed he has great wheels as he stole second base a few moments earlier. Matthew Humphrey is the batter, batting right-handed for Lincoln Southwest. Humphrey drills the ball hard, but foul. It was foul by about 3 feet. And we'll do it all over again as the count is now 1 ball and 1 strike. to the number 7 hitter for Coach Mitch Vernon's 16-13 Silverhawks baseball squad. Aiden Buchanan gets his sign for Laramie, and the ball will be fouled out of play by Matthew Humphrey. A lot of baseball to tell you about as we make our way through our afternoon and evening here on Hard Hats TV as the NCAA Baseball Regionals, the road to Omaha, the road to the College World Series begins today. And there's a hit by pitch. Matthew Humphrey is struck on his left forearm area. And now there are again runners at the corners, and Jackson Moore, the right-handed right fielder for Lincoln Southwest, will come to bat. Lincoln Southwest really shaking off what was a very bitter defeat last night. It was an exhilarating victory for us Hard Hats fans, broadcasters. There is a pitch outside, and taking second without any resistance is Matthew Humphrey. And now, after that stolen base, Jackson Moore with an opportunity to put Lincoln Southwest up 5-0 here. Ball is hit hard, and it will be in play for a 2-run single, and Lincoln Southwest has blown this game wide open.
Oh man, they're hopping all over him.
Caden Ransom and Matthew Humphrey each score. They took off with 2 outs on contact and had no problem crossing home plate. And right now, Aiden Buchanan just being hit hard as can be. And it's now 5-0. And we haven't seen any errors. It has just been constant hitting and more hitting. There's a throw down the second. Ball will hit the runner, and taking second base with the 3rd stolen base of the inning for the Silverhawks is Jackson Moore. So Landon Lewis is now the batter. Lincoln Southwest able to bat around in their road half of the first inning. Here comes a pitch from Aiden Buchanan. The ball is hit hard, but foul just beyond the third base bag. Lincoln Southwest, very methodical approach at the plate. They are not swinging at the bad pitches, and they are just absolutely thumping the good ones. Ball is hit right down the foul territory section of the first base line. Count now moves to 1 ball and 2 strikes. Be with Buchanan's leg. It's fair, and the ball will bounce, and Buchanan is hurt. He is going to have to either walk it off or shake it off or come out of the game.
That was a hard hit right on his leg.
That was a smash right around the kneecap area on the right leg of Aiden Buchanan. And if it couldn't get any tougher for Aiden in terms of what's happened on the mound, now he will exit having taken a smash to his right leg. And let's hope Aiden Buchanan's okay. Nice round of applause for Aiden. And Aiden unable to finish the first inning. He officially exits with 2/3 of an inning pitched. He's given up 6 hits in this starting appearance. Let's just hope he's okay.
Yeah, it was another good. I mean, Harrison Good hit a big liner right back at the pitcher yesterday. Actually, of course, at this Lincoln Southwest team, Carter Beatty somehow dodged out of the way and made a double play catch out of it. It was something special, but it was kind of a scary thing, and then it ended up hitting today. So,
well, right now, if you're Laramie, post 14, you really have to have some concern. This is a must-win game You're down 5-0. You're still in the top half of the first. Your starter is out of the game due to injury. And you now have to go to a kind of a cold crank situation with the bullpen. And we'll have to get to the starter, who the new relief pitcher is for Laramie post 14. But, when you're down 5-0 and it's the first inning and you're going to the bullpen in a 4-day tournament such as
This is probably
this,
not your best guy.
this is not what you want at all. And there's no way out because you're still in the first inning.
Yeah.
You're going to play for a long time. I believe the way the mercy rules work is
15 after
15
4.
after 4. And
I don't think you can get before that.
no, you can't. You cannot. And we'll see what happens. Now, keep in mind, and you made an outstanding point, Oliver, in our pregame show for this broadcast. It's runs against that's the tiebreaker.
Per inning, yeah.
It per inning. It is not a margin of victory incentivized system.
Yeah, you don't get anything from blowing the other team out.
Yeah. So Lincoln Southwest, they could very well go to the bottom of their bench and in essence show sportsmanship, respect here to Laramie post 14. Don't want to count
It's a little
Laramie
early.
post 14.
It's a little early in my opinion.
Could be early, but so far it has been all Lincoln Southwest.
He's got 2
Granted,
outs.
Laramie hasn't even come up to
Yeah.
swing the bat yet, but they have watched Lincoln Southwest bat around. There goes a runner. Throw down to third instead of second.
Trying to catch him by surprise, I guess.
Just throw a little wrinkle at the Pinnacle Bank Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. But Landon Lewis now at second base. Jackson Moore's at third. Trent Buddha, who led off this ball game with a triple and scored. The Silverhawks have sent 10 men to the plate, and Jackson Moore scores on that infield single that's ruled a hit. And Landon Lewis advances to third. Trent Buddha is at first, and it's now a 6-0 lead in favor of Lincoln Southwest. Carter Chamberlain now the hitter. Carter had a single his first time up and drove home Trent Buddha. They'll try to do something you don't see very often, and that's driving in multiple runs in the same inning and multiple at-bats. Just don't see that very often. We'll see if Carter Chamberlain can accomplish the feat here. First pitch is a strike. Second pitch is also over. Throw down to second is not in time, as Trent Buddha steals his first bag. And here in this top half of the first inning, Lincoln Southwest, they have stolen 6 bases.
That's really a tough one to swallow if you're Laramie here.
Here comes the 0-2 pitch to Carter Chamberlain with 2 on. There's a bouncer in front of the plate. That makes it a 1-2 count. On deck for Lincoln Southwest, Taiyo Takahashi. We'll wait for the next pitch. Pitcher taking a long time between pitches. Here comes the pitch, and the ball is looped into right field, and it will land for a hit. 1 run scores, and now 2 runs score, and the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks extend their lead to 8-0 as Landon Lewis and Trent Buddha score. Carter Chamberlain able to accomplish a rare feat, and that is driving in multiple runs in multiple plate appearances. He has now driven in 3 runs here in the first inning, and it's 8-0.
Yeah, I mean, this is a real nightmare right now for the Rangers.
Taiyo Takahashi watches a pitch go high, and Oliver, you and I don't have radar guns in our possession, but I can tell you this: the pitcher on the mound for Laramie, post 14, his pitches are easy to watch, which means he is not throwing with much velocity
I mean, I'm
against a
talking
lineup
maybe
of the
high
caliber.
60s, mid 60s.
I'm going to go low 60s.
Okay.
I'm going to go low 60s is where his velocity is. This first relief pitcher out of the bullpen for Laramie, post 14.
He
Ball
really
is
hit him.
thrown back to second. Moment ago, Carter Chamberlain was able to steal the seventh base here in the top of the first inning for Lincoln Southwest. Lincoln Southwest, 8 runs on 8 hits. There have been no errors committed by Lincoln Southwest, but I mean by Laramie, but certainly Laramie post 14 wishes they had a few plays back. Everything from they haven't committed any errors, but maybe have been able to do it a little better in hindsight. Ball is low and outside. I go back to that play early in the game where the ball just sailed over the head of the center fielder
Yeah,
for Laramie.
could have all been over.
Yeah, I mean that really changed the complexion of this first inning. Ball is hit past the third baseman for a single, and now there are runners at the corners. Taiyo Takahashi now has a pair of hits here in this extended first inning,
How many hits in
and
a row is that?
the hit parade right now stands at 5 consecutive hits,
Man,
and Brennett Bruns will try to make it a half dozen hits in a row off of the relief pitcher for Laramie, post 14.
yeah, there's some cotton trees letting
Here,
go right now.
here comes the pitch. It's outside, and that will be another stolen base. Taiyo Takahashi able to race down the 90 feet distance between first and second base and scamper in with a stolen bag, and that's now 9 stolen bases here in the first inning. There's a pitch that didn't even reach the artificial dirt complexion in front of home plate for ball 2 to Bennett Bruns. Scored. There were no errors committed, and there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits recorded in the top half of the first inning with 2 men left on base. At the end of a half inning of play, it's Lincoln Southwest 8 and the Laramie Post 14 Rangers coming up.
Man, I'll be honest, after that kind of thing, it's so demoralizing. I don't know. I'd want to hit, but I wouldn't. If I were, if that happened to me, it'd be kind of tough to get myself into. As if I hit here, it does anything because it was such a big, and it doesn't look like it's probably not going to stop necessarily. It feels like hitting might be. I mean, obviously you're going to hit, but it'd feel demoralizing, like your hits don't matter, maybe.
Well, here's the thing: you compete, and at this level, it's the lessons that you learn in life that matter even more in the big scheme of things than the score at the end of the game. And for Laramie, this is a test of their mettle, it's a test of their character, and I would never in a million years bet against the toughness of somebody from the cowboy state of Wyoming. And I should know. My wife's from Wyoming, and her family's from Wyoming, and Oliver, your mother's from Wyoming, and
Hmm.
all I can say is Wyoming is as tough as a $2 steak as a state, and I'll tell you they will compete, they will battle, and you better bet that Laramie's going to give it all they have as long as they have a chance to extend this game. They will fight and they will compete and they will try to battle back. The ace on the mound for Lincoln Southwest is Reed Nagel. Reed Nagel, actually, I think Yep, it is Reed Nagel. Reed Nagel getting in his warm-up tosses.
Oh, the lights are on. That's weird.
The lights are on and many
Like
people are
12:15.
home. Yeah, it is a little odd the lights are on, but
Maybe the sensors went off or
Black
something.
Hills Energy is a proud sponsor here at Fitzgerald Stadium, and maybe they just said, let's get the lights on. Here we go. Mason Branch will lead off. We'll get to the starting lineups for Laramie in a moment. Pitch from Reed Nagel here in the bottom of the first is over for a strike. Here's the starting lineup for the Laramie Post 14 Rangers. Leading off and playing center, it's Mason Branch. Hitting second, it's Aiden Buchanan. Batting third, it's third baseman Griffin Webb. Second pitch is fouled out of play for strike two. Batting fourth for Laramie, it's left fielder Brandon Chavez. Hitting fifth for the Post 14 Rangers, it's Tate Moore. Batting sixth for Coach Lesmo's Rangers, it's Jace Moniz, the second baseman. Hitting seventh, it's the right fielder Reese McIntyre. Next pitch is lifted to center field. It is playable. Can of corn will be caught for out number one by center fielder Trent Buda for Lincoln Southwest. So one up, one down here in the bottom of the first inning. Batting eighth for Laramie Post 14, it's Mason Aragon, and he is the first baseman. And batting ninth, playing catcher Trace Looney for Laramie Post 14. So for the Rangers, it's Branch, Buchanan, Webb, Chavez, Moore, Moniz, McIntyre, Aragon, and Looney. And the Post 14 Rangers need to battle back from an 8-0 deficit to avoid falling to Lincoln Southwest and dropping into an 0-2 position in the Fitzgerald Stadium pool here at the Veterans Classic in Rapid City. First two pitches to Aiden Buchanan are strikes. Here comes the next pitch to Aiden, and that's a swing and a miss. Or rather, Aiden Buchanan, I'm confused. I think actually Aiden Buchanan was being pinch hit for because he was injured.
Oh yeah,
So whoever struck out
27.
seems to be the replacement that came out of the bullpen. Let's see if we can't get a number. I'll
It's
check my
27.
phone and we'll try to identify who did come in and pitch and just came to bat for the Post 14 Rangers. That's Trip Looney that just struck out. Trip Looney is who came in relief of Aiden Buchanan, who had to exit after a smash to his knee area in the top half of the first inning. So Trip Looney is retired. And now Griffin Webb is the hitter. He moves ahead to the count 2-0 and then swings and misses. Count now goes to 2-1. Laramie trying to avoid a 1-2-3 inning here in the bottom half of the first. Here comes the pitch from Lincoln Southwest. That ball is high and inside. And the count moves to 3-1.
I gotta say, Nagel has a pretty nice fastball. He's been able to locate it pretty well, more or less today. You could point to those first two strikes of the other at bat, but he's looking pretty good.
He sure is. Nagel's next pitch is low, and that's ball four. And the Laramie fans who have made the trip from Albany County in Wyoming clap for their team as Griffin Webb is able to reach first base. Let's see if you can get this piece of geography trivia for Laramie. It's actually not a Laramie question, but do you know where Laramie Peak is located, Oliver? There's a pitch. It's outside for a ball. Brandon Chavez is the hitter. There's one on and two outs.
Going Appalachians?
Well, Laramie Peak is actually located just to the west of Wheatland, Wyoming.
Oh,
It is not
it was a lot
in
closer
Laramie.
than I thought.
There's a throw down to first, and the
You made it seem
runner
like it
gets
was
back.
the place was named after something
I
way
was
far
throwing
away.
you off. That's what I was
Yeah.
doing. And now here's a fascinating piece of trivia. So Nebraska does not have mountains. We know this.
No.
But Did you know that you can actually see Laramie Peak from Nebraska?
That's pretty crazy.
If you're
I mean, they
just
do border,
if
but
you are just west of Harrison, Nebraska, in Sioux County, you on a clear day can easily see Laramie Peak in Wyoming. So there you go. You can see mountains from Nebraska. It is true. There's a pitch. That's outside, and the count goes to ball four, and Brandon Chavez draws a walk. And after the first two players, Branch and Looney, are retired for Laramie post 14. Now Webb and Chavez are at first and second base with 2 outs. And here comes Tate Moore. Tate Moore, the shortstop, trying to get something going here in the bottom of the first. Looking back as the starting pitcher for Lincoln Southwest. That is Reed Nagel, and Nagel's first pitch is outside for a ball.
man, this
Whoa.
would mean a lot to get a run on the board, show that they could compete at least on this side. I mean, if they can slow things down, any sort of run here would do a lot. This would be their first run at the tourney as well.
It would be big. Here comes the pitch. That pitch is inside for ball two.
Nope, strike.
Oh, it's a strike.
He yells. Its umpire yells before he signs.
Aha. I am a sign reader. I am not, as many can attest, the best listener. Here comes the 1-1 pitch with 2 outs to Tate Moore from Reed Nagel from Lincoln Southwest. Nagel's pitch hit hard to third, scooped up, throw to first is high, but caught with the foot on the bag to retire the side. So a 5-3 ground out by Tate Moore ends the first inning, a long inning which saw 13 players for Lincoln Southwest come to bat in the top half of the inning, but 5 hitters come to bat for Laramie post 14, and there were no runs, there were no hits, there were no errors, and there were 2 men left through 1 inning of play at Fitzgerald Stadium. It's Lincoln Southwest 8 and Laramie post 14 nothing. You're watching Hard Hats TV live from the Veterans Classic.
Man, just got a little bit of a comeback. My girlfriend back in Arizona just told me that you could probably stand on a chair and see the entirety of Nebraska.
Well, I don't know if your girlfriend has been to Nebraska yet,
Maybe not.
but
Pretty close.
all I can say is this. There are surprises around Nebraska. If you go to Scotts Bluff, you will see an amazing piece of nature with not only the Scotts Bluff itself, but the Wildcat Hills just south of Scotts Bluff. And if you go to southwest Nebraska, you'll get to see Massacre Canyon, and which is a really neat set of valleys and crevices carved by Mother Nature. And you go to the northeast Nebraska, and you get those rolling roller coaster hills, as we used to call them. And then how about the sand hills? And did you know there are plenty of rams? In fact, about 250, give or take, bighorn sheep in northwest Nebraska by
I did not.
Crawford. So there you go.
They just walk around on the ground.
People think it's all cornfields and flat all the way through the state. That's just not the case.
There's like 3% of it that's different. Yeah.
No, you cannot get that fastball by this old rooster. Ball is 0-1 on the first pitch to Caden Ransom. Trip Looney is back out there for Laramie post 14. We're happy you're with us here on this Friday. Mike Fell and Oliver Fell with you live from Rapid City. Trip Looney gonna step off the bump for a moment. Here comes the pitch to Caden Ransom. Pitch to Caden is inside, just off the plate for a ball. The count moves to 1-2.
That would have helped out a lot. That was very close, but good call by the ump.
Last night, Oliver, you and I had a chance after the game when we got back to back to my place to actually see. There's a pitch high and inside. Some original footage from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s on home video. HBO back in the early 90s did a little show called When It Was a Game, and they kind of mix in some poetry and some stories, and it was pretty neat, wasn't it, to
Yeah.
see all the actual players in the ballparks in their full glory back in the day in color, not in black and white. Count, by the way, goes full to Caden Ransom, who is leading off for Lincoln Southwest, who currently has an 8-0 lead here in the second. Ransom hits the ball hard on the button. Ball drops in front of the center fielder for a hit. And the leadoff man is aboard for Lincoln Southwest. And for Caden Ransom, with that single, there is now only two Silverhawks who have yet to record a hit. And those two men are both coming up next. Carter Beatty, the number 6 hitter, followed by Matthew Humphrey in the 7th spot in the lineup for the Pinnacle Bank sponsored team. There, by the way, is a Pinnacle Bank, also a couple Pinnacle Banks in Wyoming. So if you're watching this in Laramie, I don't know if you have a Pinnacle Bank, but there is a Pinnacle Bank in Colorado. There is a Pinnacle Bank in Wyoming. My wife's hometown of Powell, Wyoming has a Pinnacle Bank. I just drove by it a couple days ago and I got some good crowd on hand for game 2 of the Veterans Classic. Oliver, you were here for the opening ceremonies. Those were a lot of fun
It sure
last
was.
night.
I mean, we got a Black Hawk helicopter flying over. We got to see every team line up. We got color guard. Somebody bugled the national anthem. Um, it was definitely special.
It really was. I want to give a tip of the hat to our good friend, general manager for Post 22, Wayne Sullivan, for making all of that come to life. There's a pitch inside for ball 2. So Humphrey moves ahead in the count. There are 2 men on with nobody out. Trip Looney was pressed into relief duty when a hard hit ball up the middle struck the leg of the starter for Laramie Post 14. Ball is lifted to left field and caught for out number 1. Matthew Humphrey, the first fly ball out. Check that. The second fly ball out in this ball game today. So Humphrey is retired. That's an F7 if you're scoring at home. 2 on and 1 out. Jackson Moore now the hitter for the green, gold, and white of the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. So this color scheme, green, gold, and white, actually was the color scheme I chose for my Pinewood Derby car
Oh,
when I was in Cub
did you do
Scouts
any well?
back in the second grade. No, the car was not fast, but
I think I got
it was
third.
a nice looking car.
I got third and a whole bunch of spray paint in my lungs.
There you go.
You might
Ball
have been
is
there for that.
fouled
It was
away.
on a weekend.
I remember. I
Yeah,
was
okay.
there. Count is now 1-1 to Jackson Moore. Jackson had a single and drove in a pair of runs back in the first inning. He'll try to duplicate the achievement here with 2 on and only 1 out.
Oh, they're both going to the same base.
And we just had some confusion on the
He's
base
safe.
paths, and Lincoln Southwest, as Oliver mentioned, got out of trouble as that time both runners were converging on second base, but before there was a true confluence at the far bag in the diamond, the base runner Carter Beatty was able to get back under the tag on the throwback to first base. Trip Looney fires a pitch, and I could be seeing things, but I think Looney is throwing harder than he did when he came in.
We might be in the 70s.
I think he might be in the upper 60s now.
Oh.
Here comes Looney's pitch, and
Whoa.
that pitch is high and way outside the zone to load the bases. So Jackson Moore, after leading off in the ball game with a single and a pair of runs driven in, able to load the bases as he draws a walk. And now Landon Lewis, who had a single scored in was one of 9 stolen bases accounted for in the first inning. Now comes to bat here in the top of the second inning with the Silverhawks up 8-0 against the Laramie 14 Rangers in the game we have for you here on Hard Hats TV. Here comes the pitch, and it is low for a ball.
Something to remember. This is, I mean, obviously they didn't want to go to a reliever this soon, but this is not probably their best guy. They've got a game against the Rogue Baseball Club right after this.
Okay. Good point to consider is they want to conserve what they can for the next game. There's a pitch. It's outside for a ball. Of course, nobody's giving up on this game, but it's not looking good for Laramie right now. Here comes the pitch from Trip Looney, and that pitch is over for a strike. Landon Lewis batting here with the bases loaded and 1 out, leading in the count 3-1. Here comes the pitch from Tripp, and that pitch is
also
over for a strike. And Trip Looney fighting his way back, trying to keep Laramie off the board, or keep Lincoln Southwest off the board. Lincoln Southwest with 11 hits already in this game, and there is ball 4. He has walked in the 9th run of the game. Landon Lewis, with that walk, picks up his first ribby of the afternoon as Caden Ransom is able to score for the second time today. And it's now 9-0. The bases are still loaded with 1 out, and we'll have a visit from Coach Aaron Lesmo, and he will talk things over with his infield and his pitcher. Well, we're glad you're with us. Oliver, can we fire up some college baseball scores? Do we have
We
any?
can. I can pull them up.
Let's go ahead and get to some of those scores. And a lot of people may not know this, but I'm excited to share. Oliver, you are the man behind NCAA Game Winners and Buzzer Beaters, which is one of, according to Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks and regular on Shark Tank, you are one of the lead, I think to use Mark Cuban's quote,
he said one of the best basketball follows on
Twitter. There you go. Ball is hit hard and through the hole on the right side of the infield. 1 run will score, and now it's 10-0. And taking off now and scoring from third to home is another runner. That's Jackson Moore, and Trent Buddha is able to drive in a pair of runs with a smash to right field. And initially, Buddha put on Jackson Moore put on the brakes, and then he got encouraged to just go home without any throw coming in.
I was thinking that. He had time.
And it's now 11-0. Lincoln Southwest in complete command in this game against the Laramie Post 14 Rangers.
Yeah.
There are now 13 hits, and we still are in the second inning for Lincoln Southwest. 2 on, 1 out. Trip Looney's pitch is hit. It's a blooper called for, but dropped as the pair of Rangers collide, and everybody is safe 90 feet ahead of where they expected to be.
Man, that was...
I think you call that an error on the second baseman.
You do?
Yes, they do call it.
I don't know who it's
error on Jace Moniz. Jace Moniz had the ball drop out of his glove, and as soon as the ball came out of Moniz's glove, that'll be an E4 as Carter Chamberlain reaches first base on what should have been the second out of the inning. As soon as that ball was dropped by Jace Moniz, then there was a right fielder for Laramie Post 14, Reese McIntyre, who undercut Moniz from that point on.
All right. Well, I'll take over for a sec. He's getting a call. But we are still looking at bases loaded, 1 out. Up comes Taiyo Takahashi again. He's got the bases loaded. So far today, he already has one. He's already got 1 RBI. 1 RBI is in a pair of singles. Another single might even bring in 2 right now. All right, looking at 2-1 right now. Remember, it's got to get all the way to the 4th for any mercy rule to happen. That one driven to right, playable. Right fielder makes the grab. He's going to throw it in. Cutoff man. One will score on the sacrifice fly. It'll make it 12-0, but they do record a second out of the inning for the Laramie Rangers.
Number 27, Bennett Bruns.
Bennett Bruns now up. Okay, that's out number 2. Could see another steal. That one looked like it might have been a pitch out. It's been a while, and you are up by a lot, but I don't know. Speed on the base paths might never sleep. There's a lot of cool birds around here making their nests right now. Fouled. Right off the scoreboard that we're keeping track of everything on by the entrance to Fitzgerald Stadium. That'll make it 1-1. Man, Rogue Baseball Club just walked into the premises. They're getting all warmed up over in the cages. Going for second now, Takahashi. That one is floated into left. Dropped! It'll get down. Somehow it looks like Takahashi's going to score there. Or not Takahashi, that's Chamberlain. And 2 more runs score on that. A little bit of miscommunication from the outfielders there. Both of them had a play on it, but neither thought that neither thought they should go for it.
Base hit with Bruns, scores 2.
Makes it 14-0.
Entering the plate, number 7, your catcher, Aiden
So
Madison.
2 outs in the inning. Remember, Laramie's got to play Rogue right after this. Rogue must be pretty happy seeing that, but Laramie's gonna give it their best. Should be noted, I believe, that it was only a 4-run game in the top of the 4th when Laramie played against Mitchell in their 10-0 loss. Mitchell held Laramie, or held Cheyenne Post 6 to just 2 runs, or to just 4 runs in a 4-2 game, so they're a pretty great team too. This Lincoln Southwest team has absolutely, knocked that, really exceeded what Mitchell Post 2 or Mitchell Post 18 could do. They look like a pretty threatening team for the whole field. 2-0. Looney. The 2-0 to Bruns. Alright. Looking at a 3-0. Looney. No delivery. Off the bag, that'll make it 4. Before balls, put another man on.
Faulkner Hanson's entering into the plate. Your left fielder, number 12, Carter Beatty.
Well, 2 men on, still 2 outs in this inning. Here comes Looney. That one lobbed into the zone. 0-1. Looney, that one off the plate. 1-1. The 1-1 off the plate. That'll make it 2-1. That one a little outside. Looney having a little bit of trouble locating despite the difference in, his speed to most. That one driven right back up the middle over second base. It'll get into center. They're going to hold the runners up. So the bases will be loaded again on the single. Where did I put my pen? On the single from Carter Beatty.
Base hit for Beatty brings to the plate your first baseman, number 18, Matthew Humphrey.
Matthew Humphrey now up. He got hit by a pitch and flew out to center in his 2 times, or to left in his 2 times up. Looney gets teed off on there. It goes to left field. That'll bring home the 15th run. And the bases will stay loaded.
Base hit for Humphrey coming into the plate. Number 31 from the right fielder, Jackson Moore.
It's tough to see this kind of thing and know that there's at least 2 innings more that are going to get played. I bet Laramie, knowing that they have to hit here in this net, or they have to play against Cheyenne, or the Rogue Baseball Club, they're probably wanting to get this over with and get some more time to warm up. That one hit down the left field line. That'll be a single. It'll bring home 1 more. They're waving in another. That'll be 2 runs. And it looks like Humphrey's gonna, waddle over to second.
Base hit for Moore, going to bring to the plate your third baseman.
So now we're looking at a 17-0 game. Just can't get that out. Jackson Moore now up. A little high. All right. I'll pass it back over to Mike.
Thank you very much, Oliver. When you're at the ball game, and you're on the clock, you never know what phone call comes in that you need to take. Thanks for assisting there.
No problem. Well,
And
they just kept on getting more hits.
They did, and it's now 17-0 here in the second inning, and I wonder if we're not getting into that place where perhaps one of the teams can just call it. I don't know.
They can agree to forfeit this one.
Well, not forfeit, but I don't know if that's an option. It might not be. Probably is not an option, so we just play on. But it is 17-0, and we have 2 on with 2 outs. But when it gets to be towards 20 runs, it's just you get to that point where you just feel like it's really hard for everybody involved.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants to see, especially 2 teams that don't know one another, wants to see a game go to a place where there just is not a semblance of balance.
Yeah.
So it is 17-0, Lincoln Southwest. Just in workmanlike fashion, showing that they are indeed a serious contender here at the Veterans Classic. And there's a walk as Trip Looney loads the bases as Jackson Moore trots down to first. There was a base open there with 2 on and 2 out. We're in the top half of the second inning, and it is 17-0. Lincoln Southwest with 17 hits in the ball game. And again, those are 17 hits against only 5 recorded outs. That
pretty
is
crazy.
just how
And
impressive
about,
the
I don't know, a
Silverhawks have
handful
been.
of walks.
And actually, and only 1 error being committed by Laramie post 14. Here comes a pitch from Trip Looney. Ball is smashed, and it is through the line and the first baseman. 1 run will score, 2 runs will score, maybe even 3 runs will score, and that'll be a bases clearing triple by Landon Lewis. And now it is 20-0 in favor of Lincoln Southwest. Wow.
The umpire, or the coach is going to come out here for the Rangers. I wonder what he's going to say.
Well, there is activity in the bullpens for Laramie post 14. And by the way, Carter Beatty, Matthew Humphrey, and Jackson Moore all crossed home plate. Jackson Moore and his teammate Trent Buda, they have already scored 3 times in 2 innings in this game. And that is something you rarely see in baseball.
Here comes out both managers, it looks like.
And
they might be agreeing.
We may very well, I don't know, we're going to have a conference, I think.
I've been told by Wayne Sullivan, who is
what
putting on this
okay,
event,
yeah, please share
that
what you've learned. It's 20-0.
It's 15 after 3.
15 after 3. They've made that accommodation?
No, that's how it's been.
Oh, that's how it's been.
That's how it was set up for this tourney.
Got it. So 15 runs after 3 is the margin. Laramie down 20-0 with a pitching change. Let's see who the new pitcher will be for the post 14 Rangers. It'll be Ben Malone. So Ben Malone.
I don't think he's aware of this game going on right now.
Ben Malone will now come out to relieve Trip Looney. Trip Looney goes 1 inning, and he gives up unofficially 13 runs. I believe Aiden Buchanan was on the hook for 7 runs.
He got off easy.
And Ben Malone, the 3rd pitcher for the Laramie post 14 Rangers this afternoon.
Well,
and boy, I'll tell you, it's hard to play baseball and be down 20-0. There's nothing that is easy about that. And the post 14 Rangers, I want to give them some credit because just reading their body language, they're playing their best. They've only committed 1 error. They're just simply being overmatched by this great Lincoln Silverhawks ball club.
I have been informed that no matter what, the game must go 3 innings.
Okay.
So I don't think the pit coaches can agree to end it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's got to.
So
3 is the.
So we may see a number that we've never seen before as baseball broadcasters, Oliver, before this is through. We may not, but I have never called a ball game where 20 runs were scored by the winning team.
Really?
I never have.
Never?
Never. There's a pitch inside. It's ball 3.
I'm just thinking because we could have done that to Gillette if there wasn't a
17. I've seen 17 as the top end run total. No,
I saw 17.
No, that's not true. I called a St. Thomas More game that got to 23 runs for the winning team.
Okay.
So, 23 is the mark for me.
All right. Well, I mean, I hate to see.
I barely remember that.
It feels a little poor taste right now.
Trent Buda is the hitter. Buda Hits the ball to center. It is playable, and it is caught for the second out, for the
Third.
final out of the second inning. So Trent Buddha is retired in his fourth at bat in only his second inning of play at the plate. And for Lincoln Southwest, they are able to score 12 runs on a total of 6 hits. There was 1 error, and there was 1 man left on base. Through an inning and a half at the Veterans Classic in Rapid City, Game 2 of 5 this afternoon. And tonight, it's the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks, sponsored by Pinnacle Bank, leading the Laramie Post 14 Rangers 20-0. This is Hard Hats TV.
Well,
let's go ahead, Oliver, and get to some college baseball scores with regionals opening from coast to coast.
You want?
I'll let you do it.
Okay. So in the opener for the entire tournament, we've got number 7 Virginia and Army. That one going a lot like this game. It is 15-1 in the bottom of the 8th in Virginia's favor. Then Lipscomb is keeping it pretty tight with number 4 Clemson, only down 5-6 in the middle of the 6th. Then the hosts, Indiana State Sycamores, are in the bottom of the 7th, and they are down by 2 runs to Wright State, the Horizon League champions.
And Indiana State getting a rare opportunity as a Missouri Valley team to host their regional.
They're not showing off too well. Then Campbell is down by 3 to NC State in a 2 versus 3 matchup. That's in the bottom of the 6th. Bottom of the 7th, Dallas Baptist getting losing by 8-4 to Washington in the top of the 7th. Oregon, who had a Cinderella run in the Pac-12 tournament to make it here, they are playing against Xavier, who had a Cinderella run in the Big East tournament, and Xavier is currently up 4-3.
Jace Moniz will lead things off for Laramie Post 14 here in the bottom of the 2nd. First pitch is outside for a ball from Reed Nagel. Nagel has had to sit around for a considerable amount of time, but what pitcher would not even think about looking a gift horse in the mouth with a 20-0 lead? There's a swing and a miss. And
that idiom never made sense to me.
It goes back a long ways.
Oh, clearly, but I don't. Why wouldn't you look it in the mouth?
I don't know, but you just wouldn't.
That one never made sense to me.
You just wouldn't do that.
You'd never want to.
No, you wouldn't want to look a gift horse.
That looked like one.
Of course, I don't know how many people will even want to look a horse in the mouth.
I don't think I'm ever going to be in a situation where I get a gift horse.
I don't think that's going to happen for you.
Yeah.
At least your dad's not giving you a horse for your birthday. He never gave you a pony when you were a kid. You got a pony, right?
I got a pony for the birthday. Yeah, for the party.
2 years old.
I also got thrown off a horse and got a concussion.
Yeah, I was there for
that. That was cool too.
I amazed my dad because I raced in to check on you and I dismounted the horse in full gallop. He couldn't believe his eyes. Ball is hit hard, deep to left, and it will be off the wall. That'll be a double. A stand-up double for Jace Moniz. Jace Moniz almost hit the ball out of here with the wind blowing in that direction. And that was a great piece of hitting as Jace Moniz gets the first hit of the game for Laramie Post 14 and the first extra base hit. And that's something for Laramie Post 14 to build upon, trying to rally down 20-0. And that's the first hit given up today by Reed Nagel. Nagel's pitch now to Reese McIntyre is high for a ball, and Laramie Post 14 with a chance to get a run across here in the second inning, down 20-0. Here comes the pitch, and it is over for a strike, and the count evens at 1-1. Oliver, this is such a great environment for baseball. We still have 3 more games to bring you on Hard Hats TV
Yep.
today. Have to love it. Here comes a pitch, and the ball is lifted softly to the second baseman, who makes the catch for out number 1. That's an F4 if you're scoring at home. Reese McIntyre just couldn't get much on that swing.
He reached all the way out for it.
He
Just got
did.
the end of his bat.
Yeah, Carter Chamberlain just easily waited for that ball to come down. And now Mason Aragon is the hitter. Mason came out of the bullpen for Laramie post 14 in last night's defeat at the hands of the Mitchell post 18 team.
Yeah,
There's a pitch outside for a ball.
This would do a heck of a lot for Laramie if they can get on the board here going into their game against Rogue, the Rogue Baseball Club from Englewood. They'll get a lot out of this if they can at least show that they can score against a pitcher this good too.
There's a pitch, and it's high.
Nope, strike.
Up over for a strike. Mason Aragon, thought he pitched pretty well against Mitchell last night. Batting 8th in the lineup for Laramie post 14, trying to drive in Jace Moniz from second base. Jace has a big lead, by the way. And now he takes off for third, and he might get picked off. Throw to third is in time to retire the base runner. Jace Moniz is caught stealing.
That was gutsy.
And that's a 1-5 putout. And now the bases are empty for Mason Aragon, who is down in the count 0-2. And that's the right word for it, Oliver. It was a gutsy move.
Down by 20.
You know, gutsy moves always work in the Top Gun films, but they don't always work when you're trying to take third base. Ball is hit and caught by the first baseman, who will step on the tag to make double certain that the third out is recorded, as Mason Aragon flies out to first base, and that is the end of the second inning.
Would that not be a liner?
Well, I think it's going to be just. Oh, I think it would be a liner.
Yeah.
But I put F3 in my scorebook for that.
Okay.
And so that's why I call
I'm an
it
L3 kind of guy, you know?
Okay, I'm an F3 person. So that's something, by the way, you don't see every day, and that is a pair of fly ball outs to the right side of the infield. And that closes the book on the second inning of play. For Laramie, they are able to get 1 hit. There were no runs, there were no errors committed, and there was no one left on base through 2 innings of play here in Rapid City. It's Lincoln Southwest, sponsored by Pinnacle Bank, 20, and the Laramie Post 14 Rangers, nothing. This is Hard Hats TV.
Well, with any luck, they'll be able to just, you know, kind of put out 3, maybe allow 2 or 3 runs, get this over with, and get ready for the Rogue game.
Say that again. The Rogue game, not the road game.
The Rogue, yeah. With a G, as in Gertrude.
Well, we are glad to have you with us for baseball on a Friday afternoon. Where else would you want to spend the first 4 days of June, the first 4 days of the first month of summer, than here in Rapid City? We begin the 3rd inning with Carter Chamberlain coming in to bat against Ben Malone, the second man out of the bullpen for Coach Lesmo and the post 14 Rangers. Ball is bounced and skipped up to home plate. Count now moves to 1 ball and 1 strike. Carter Chamberlain today, 2 for 2, and he reached on an error back in the 2nd inning. Carter has scored once and driven in 3 of his teammates today.
He also pitched a great 5 innings last night.
Yes, he did. There's a pitch outside.
I think it was 4 1/3.
Carter Chamberlain whose initials are KC, as in Kansas City, home of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs.
Good for them.
Here comes the pitch. Ball is lifted to left field and somewhat deep, but playable, and it will be caught for the first out
Hey!
of the third inning.
Out on the first pitch. Out on the first batter.
It is a fly ball out. Good play there in left field by Brandon
Yeah, the
Chavez.
wind was moving that
Brandon
little.
has caught a pair of balls hit in his general area in left field. And now here comes Taiyo Takahashi. Taiyo had a sac fly back in the third inning,
Oh,
and he fouls off the first pitch off the roof of the press box here.
one of these days, I've seen it where it bounces right there and
Yeah.
it gets real close. One of these days, it's coming in the booth.
You
And
know it is.
yeah, I'll be
are,
so excited.
You are a baseball magnet when it comes to where you are. I've seen balls come towards us before when we've gone to games. There's a foul ball and a strike two. Taiyo Takahashi, 2 for 2 with a sac fly today. Here comes the pitch, and it's high for a ball.
You have to wonder why they're not putting in bench bats.
You have to. Taiyo Takahashi waits for the pitch, and it is inside for ball two. Not exactly sure. Sometimes you just want that continuity. Keep in mind for Lincoln Southwest, this is their only game of the day.
That's true.
So you may
I would just think you'd want to warm up some of the extra guys if you need them.
But you've got some big games ahead, and sometimes you don't want to self-mute or silence your bats, especially when you're in a groove, as the Silverhawks are at the moment. 2-2 pitch coming up to Taiyo Takahashi from Ben Malone, and he is hit in the back.
That's a good reason to put in a bench bat.
Well, that is a good reason. Taiyo Takahashi will reach on a hit by pitch. Bennett Bruns will now come up to bat. Bennett, the designated hitter. We may have a substitution here.
Looks like we are going to have.
Looks like
instead of Bruns.
Yeah, Bruns is going to be pinch hit for here in the third inning.
Okay, so it all comes down to there's always a bigger fish thing. If this is 16-12 in Nebraska, I'd hate to see a 20-win team.
Well, I think you'll get a chance to
I will.
do that.
We will see that a lot. We're going to be in Omaha.
That will be the Creighton Prep Junior Jays, my alma mater. Yeah, I love Creighton Prep.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Your best years. I'm just kidding.
My high school years. They were my best 4 years of life, though. They really
There you
were.
go.
Ball is hit hard to center field. It is playable, and it will be caught for out number 2 as the pinch hitter for Bennett Bruns flies out for out number 2. And now Caden Ransom. Now Brian Doughton will come to bat for Caden Ransom. So Brian Doughton is the pinch hitter here in the third inning for the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. And Oliver, as soon as you mentioned it was probably time to get some replacement bats in the lineup, it's as though Mitch Vernon had this broadcast on in the dugout. He instantly followed your cue.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen like that all the time, but it happened that way here. As Brian Doughton swings so hard, he wanted to hit the ball all the way to Beatrice if he was back home in Lincoln with that swing. Here comes the 0-2 pitch with Ben Malone on the hill. And that's a swing and a miss, strike 3. Ben Malone shuts the door, and we have reached the middle of the third inning.
Woo!
Here.
Nothing allowed.
Rapid City. So, in the top half of the third inning, there were no runs. There were no hits. There was a hit batter. There were no errors, and there was one man left on base. Through 2.5 innings of play, here in Game 2 of Day 2 of the Veterans Classic in the Fitzgerald Stadium pool, it is Lincoln Southwest 20, Laramie Post 14, Rangers nothing. The Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the third inning, and Laramie will need to score 6 runs to prevent this game from ending at the end of 3 innings. So we have a new pitcher on the mound, relieving Reed Nagel for Lincoln Southwest, and that relief pitcher coming out to throw is Garrett Walsh. So Garrett Walsh will come out of the bullpen, and I guess if the game goes 3 innings, would the winning pitcher be Reed Nagel because he's pitched 2/3 of the game, or because he's being pulled here, does Garrett Walsh get the win somehow?
The
I
whole
don't
team
know.
gets the win.
Well, but you have to have a winning pitcher. I think
do
Garrett,
you?
you do. That's how baseball works.
Well, then
You
it might
must
go to
have,
him.
you must have a winning pitcher. So I believe, I just have never seen that before, a 3 inning game. And I mean, it feels like Reed Nagel should get the W, but
Yeah,
but
it's not enough
if
innings.
you only pitch, you
If it's
only
a
get
7 inning
6
thing,
outs and you're
yeah.
the starter. I think Garrett Walsh actually coming in with a 20-0 lead out of the Lincoln Southwest bullpen would be the pitcher of record.
Well, as long as he doesn't blow it.
Well, there's that, but I actually believe Garrett Walsh coming out of the bullpen here would be the winning pitcher
Man,
because this is a 3 inning game, and it's just so unusual.
Yeah.
It's so unusual. I don't know what the right answer is there. I feel like it ought to be Reed Nagel that gets the win if he pitches a majority of the innings, but I don't know what the ruling is there. If you do know, let us know.
I do want to see Laramie. I want to see Laramie score a run.
So Carter Beatty, or rather, it'll be Trace Looney coming to bat to lead things off in the third inning. And for Laramie, this is the first time the number 9 hitter has come to bat in this ball game with Lincoln Southwest up 20-0.
Ooh.
There's a swing and a miss on a strike 3, a drop
That was
strike.
definitely
Throw down
2.
to first is in time, and that'll be a strikeout by Garrett Walsh. That's a 2-3 putout. And now Mason Branch will come up to bat. And I always have to wonder when I see a Walsh from Nebraska if we're not related somehow, some way.
It's not the
to this
least
pitcher.
common name,
But I'm from Nebraska. My mom grew up in Spalding and Nebraska, in Omaha, Nebraska, and you wonder if a Walsh from Nebraska made their way to Lincoln. And it's not unusual at all for a rural, small-town Nebraska to wind up in Lincoln because that's where the university is.
Huh.
And I wonder if we don't have relation out there right now, Oliver,
Maybe.
for the Silverhawks. Ball is lifted to the shortstop, who makes a nice over-the-shoulder catch and slaps a high five with his buddy who came in from center field. And that's the second out, and now the Rangers are down to their final out of the ball game, down 20-0, and Trip Looney will come to bat for the second time today. He struck out his first time up against Reed Nagel. Here comes Garrett Walsh's pitch, and that brings Looney to his fanny. And that is a ball, and the count goes to 1-0. I've never used the phrase Looney and fanny in the same sentence until now. Here comes a pitch, and that is inside for a strike. And the count goes to 1-1. Garrett Walsh trying to close out the ball game with the Silverhawks leading 20-0. Next pitch from Walsh is in the dirt. The count now moves to 2-1. Lincoln Southwest, one batter away from moving to 1-1 in pool play. Ball is fouled out of play and off the
Please
batting
stand by ball
facility for
number
post
2.
22, and the count now goes to 2-2. The Silverhawks are a strike away from the victory today. Here's the pitch, and it's low for ball 3, and the count goes full. Garrett Walsh trying to get a 1-2-3 inning here in the bottom of the third and get the Silverhawks to 1-1 in pool play, and
Nope.
that's going to be ball 4, and we'll have that dramatic victory moment delayed for at least
I'll
one
have
more
well,
batter, as now Griffin Webb will come to bat. Garrett Walsh with a man on and 2 outs. 1 out away from Lincoln Southwest winning 20-0 against their opponent from Albany County, Wyoming.
man. I mean, that umpire. That's as much as there is a blowout here, as much as it could end, he'll be darned if that wasn't a ball. You know.
Right. Here comes the pitch, and that
That's a
pitch is
strike.
outside for a ball. Oliver, you may be going many places in your broadcasting career, and Lincoln and Laramie might be 2 of them on the stopping list because they play major college sports. I know you love college sports.
Mm-hmm.
There's a pitch outside for a strike. Count is 1-1 now. Here comes a pitch from Walsh, and it's outside for ball 2. So my favorite food in Laramie are the Southwestern egg rolls
At Chili's.
at the Avalanche Cafe in downtown
Oh,
Laramie.
I know you're a big
Next
Chili's.
pitch is, yeah, I am, but they're even better at the Avalanche Grill. It's the Avalanche Grill in downtown Laramie. And my favorite food in Lincoln, besides Amigos,
Ooh.
there's a hit by pitch as Griffin Webb will take first
Hey, maybe
base.
they
And
can
now
get a
Trip
run.
Looney will move on to second. But Misty's Steakhouse doesn't get much better than Misty's Steakhouse, especially the North Side Steakhouse in Lincoln. And there's a lot of tradition there, a lot of old helmets, football helmets from the 70s and 80s
Ooh.
that you don't see anymore. I know you grew up with your massive mini helmet collection. I think you'd appreciate dinner at Misty's, Albert.
Yeah.
So there we go. Brandon Chavez is now the hitter. Brandon walked his first time up. Brandon, batting left-handed, watches a pitch go over the zone, and the count's even at 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 on, 2 out. 20-0. Lincoln Southwest leading Laramie post 14. Mike Fell, Oliver Fell with you. Here comes a pitch from Walsh, and the ball is hit to second. This could do it. Throw to first will retire the side and end the game. And congratulations to the Pinnacle Bank Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. They win 20-0. Out hit the Laramie Post 14 Rangers 18-1. And that was a solid victory for head coach Mike Vernon and the Pinnacle Bank sponsored Silverhawks from Lincoln Southwest. To recap the bottom of the third inning, there were no hits, there were no runs, there were no errors, there were 2 men left on base, and in a 3-inning ball game, Garrett Walsh, we believe, is the winning pitcher as he goes 1 inning of scoreless baseball. Reed Nagel had 2 innings of shutout baseball, and the losing pitcher in the game was Aiden Buchanan. And the Laramie Post 14 Rangers fall to 0-2 in pool play. They will now take on the Rogue Club team coming up next. The Laramie Post 14 Rangers dropped to 9-14 overall on the season, and congratulations to the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks. They are now 17-13. They now raise their mark to 1-1 in pool play. They are very much alive here in this Veterans Classic as they bounce back in impressive fashion after a heartbreaking 8-7 loss at home to the Post 22 Hard Hats last night. Congratulations to Mitch Vernon and the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks, sponsored by Pinnacle Bank. The Silverhawks are winners today, 20-0 over Laramie. And let's check the totals again. Lincoln Southwest, 20 runs on 18 hits. Landon Lewis, he had 4 RBIs in the game. Carter Chamberlain had 3 RBIs. Trent Buda and Caden Ransom and Jackson Moore all scored 3 times in a 3-inning victory, a 20-0 dominant performance by the Silverhawks. And congratulations to all of you fans watching back in Lincoln. The Silverhawks are now 17-13, and they will play tomorrow against Sturgis at 9 a.m., a game that we will not have for you on the Hard Hats TV network because the game will be played over at Pete Lean Stadium against the 0-2 Sturgis Titans tomorrow morning. But we will be with you, Silverhawk fans, at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon when the Scottsbluff Bearcats team will play at 4:30 against the Silverhawks from Lincoln Southwest. Our final score here at Fitzgerald Stadium in Game 2 out of 5 games we have for you today. It is the Lincoln Southwest Silverhawks 20 and the Laramie Post 14 Rangers nothing. Thanks for being with us. Our next game will start at 1:50, we are told. And stay tuned here on Hard Hats TV. I'm going to go back and do my work at the radio stations of Riverfront Broadcasting, and I will be back a little bit later on today for some more baseball hour.
All right. Well, thank you for coming with us.
You bet. It was fun.
It could have been. It was fun.
It's always fun.
All right. Well, after that, I mean, it's hard to get too high on Laramie's chances in this one, but 0-1 team as well for Rogue. They lost their first game. I'll probably be back with you guys in about I'll be back here about 1:40, I bet, to stream the next one. I'll be calling that one entirely. Should be solo, which should be Rogue versus Laramie Post 14 Rangers. So I'm going to make some graphics. I'm going to grab a bite, and I'll see you all at about 1:40.